The presidential candidate that received more campaign contributions from active duty troops than all others put together, of course, is Ron Paul. And it really says a lot that the politically aware people in the military, those that are paying attention and engaged in the political process, are supporting someone who advocates an immediate withdrawal.
So what John is saying is just totally distorted. He doesn't even understand the difference between non-intervention and isolationism.
Ron Paul's non-interventionist view was, no, we shouldn't bomb these people, we shouldn't put sanctions on them, we should instead have free trade, cultural exchange, we should understand each other better. What in the world is isolationist about that? Trying to make this distinction with John McCain, seriously, I might as well try to explain the Copenhagen theory of quantum physics to him, so we'll leave him to his mistakes.
I think Congressman Paul should not be reading as many of Ahmadinejad's press releases.
It really bothered me how unfair they were with him. But then at the same time, it reminded me of that saying that Gandhi said, first they ignore you.
You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA.
Then they laugh at you.
The Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security.
Then they fight you.
You have proof of that. There's no proof.
There's absolutely proof of it. It's been chronicled.
And then you win.
First place with 35%, Ron Paul. Rudy Giuliani came in second.
Oh, here we go again.
Driving Hannity
it's
crazy.
Driving me crazy. I got very angry with you tonight.
Oh, my.
I know. We have some agreements.
First time? Is that first time ever?
No, not the first time ever.
You should be nice to your guests.
It's a shame that the Republican Party pushed Ron away. If they would have just grasped this message and said, yep, you're welcome, come on into the party, the Republican Party would have been huge. But instead, they shut it down.
Yeah, I didn't walk away. I guess I was, confident enough that they were wrong. This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
Ron Paul had a good day yesterday, a very good day.
Supporters dropped $4,380,000 in 24 hours.
And it's believed to be one of the biggest internet fundraising efforts by any candidate ever.
Ron Paul's fundraising was actually done by volunteers who simply stepped up to the plate and said, all right, everybody out there on the internet, we are going to give money on this particular day.
What if 100,000 of us donated $100 each on November 5th for a $10 million day?
His supporters raised the cash on November the 5th to commemorate Guy Fawkes. This guy was a British terrorist who tried to overthrow the government by blowing up Parliament and killing everybody in it.
Two important things can be thought of or represented by that date. And one is, yes, Guy Fawkes, but the other is the movie V for Vendetta, which was a movie that touched on that historical date in order to create a new theme that was a reaction to the propaganda of the state, the police state, the spying, all these things that were going on.
I want everyone to remember why they need us.
And so it was no shock that they would try to focus on something that really wasn't the motivator for the day at all.
Were they contributing to your campaign, or was this all about Guy Fawkes Day?
Explain to me what those supporters who are drawn to you on that kind of anniversary are trying to say.
That's what they do. The media, I believe, intentionally, from the get-go, has marginalized his message, has tried to make it something that it isn't.
So that's what news has been reduced to, and it is very dishonest.
Is this the same kind of thing, or is this worse than what it was in the 60s with the radicals then?
Oh, I think it's much worse. Totally in bed with the Islamo-fascists and a turn against this country.
But it's out there, it goes, it's gone, it's believed, becomes part of the subconscious of the electorate and how they vote.
Our supporters, of course, are a lot different than others. Others are doing it for superficial reasons, but people who would join our campaign did it because they were philosophic people and they believed in something and they were motivated. So I think it represents a huge movement.
You hear grassroots all the time with Ron Paul's campaign. And one thing I learned, it's not a word, it's not like change, it's just not something you just hear, it's something you see.
Ron Paul is outnumbered and out-rallied all the other candidates' people combined. It was just, it blew me away, so I knew I was in the right camp.
And we had fun, because if you're not having fun, you're so doing it wrong.
Ron Paul, you know, he kind of strikes just the grandfatherly neighbor next door, and he's not the guy you think is going to lead a charismatic movement, you know.
Everything about the whole campaign was so innovative and different from what you're accustomed to seeing, and I think everybody's bewildered in the whole political arena right now, going, how did this happen? And how come I can't make this happen to my campaign?
Supporters of Ron Paul may dominate on the internet, but now they have their sights set on U.S. airspace.
I think the blimp has got to stand out in everybody's mind. I mean, that was just such an outrageous thing to do.
You know, you can ignore people on the ground holding signs. You can ignore people on the internet who debate passionately in forums. It's really hard to ignore a blimp.
The Skyship 600 is quite special. It's the largest blimp in the world. It's about 200 feet long, about 70 feet high, 65 feet wide, and I think it's probably the only time that an airship was used to promote a presidential candidate, in fact, or any politician for that matter.
Which I thought was a great PR stunt. I thought that was a great way to advertise Paul and Unique, and everybody was talking about it, Ron Paul supporters or not.
It took off December 12th, and it flew till pretty much the end of January.
We were very impressed at how quickly a seemingly random group of people could pull together this rather unusual, unique project.
Just great stuff. I mean, the imagination those people that like Ron Paul are showing is, it does a heart good. Somebody who's become jaded by the same old, same old.
We had a certain leisure to do something fun with the blimp, whereas, you know, traditional campaigning, you know, we send out brochures, we send out flyers, we have a bus. You know, traditional campaigns don't put blimps into the air.
I mean, you didn't see Obama or McCain having a blimp. That was unique to Ron Paul. What really works is when people are passionate about their work, when they're passionate about the campaign, and they step up to the plate and do what they think is right without having to take instruction from the higher-ups.
In my experience, I just saw too many people worrying about getting somebody else to do something and not enough people doing something themselves. And the next thing I knew, I was pedaling a bicycle across the country. I pedaled 3,700 miles from the Santa Monica Pier in California in Los Angeles to the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C.
My whole life for 6, 7, 8 months was Ron Paul radio, get Ron Paul elected. That's the only reason why I was alive.
The newspaper ad in Iowa before the straw poll. I mean, that was probably the first big project that the grassroots put together where everybody just contributed from all over.
My husband went to work one morning and he come back and I'd already started painting on it and he said, "Oh my God, oh, babe." Then he helped me.
A group of political activists is spreading its own message, one step at a time. They are walking from Green Bay to Minneapolis.
And Jerry, their message is relatively simple.
We feel that the federal government is overstepping its bounds and treating the Constitution like a suggestion book and not like a legal contract.
And so I called up USA Today. I said, what does it cost to run a full-page ad? And they said, it's about $70,000 to run a full-page black and white ad. I said, okay, I can do that. We'll do that. We probably had 2,000 editors of this ad. For the High Tide promo, somebody introduced the idea about making a video that would promote Ron Paul's message, kind of like a campaign video, but a little bit different style, something that's never been seen before, like a movie preview. People that saw the video that didn't know who Ron Paul was said, this is an amazing message. Who's the guy in the video? And that's one thing we're trying to show also, is that it has a timeless feel to it, that the message of freedom is an everlasting message. It can never get old, and it can never die.
One of the really appealing things about Ron Paul is that he understands the importance of history. He understands the importance of seeing where you're coming from and of not having the presumption in one generation to toss away the accumulated wisdom of ages.
Today, as we gather here in Faneuil Hall, we are going to set a record for fundraising. We are sending a message to the world that we won't be ignored. The establishment in their high-rise penthouse views laughs at you. They laugh at us, the Ron Paul rabble. But you know what? They're not laughing today.
Revolution's in the air. The resistance is on. Take action right now, ladies and gentlemen. Call everybody you know.
We are blessed to have had Ron Paul stand for us all these long years. Now we are here today to stand for him.
So what do you think, man?
That was awesome.
Success? Success?
Absolutely. 5.5 million so far.
You set the record. In the history of American politics, nobody has ever raised more money on a single day than you.
Gosh.
And yet, this is happening without your campaign people coordinating. This is completely about grassroots, and it's completely about you just saying what you believe in.
There was a lot of interest building up to the first primaries in Iowa and New Hampshire, and there was so much interest online that nobody really knew how he was going to perform in the primaries.
We're about to go where no man has gone before. We don't do it because it's easy. We do it because it's hard. One small step for man, one giant leap for Ron Paul.
New Hampshire was just a blast. We put up so many signs in freezing cold weather. We were spray painting signs at 2 in the morning. The spray paint cans were freezing, so you'd have to take them inside after they had cooled down too much.
It is so cold out here. My hands are too numb to even know they're cold.
You know, we'd have the stuff inside, bring it outside, spray it real quick, go around. We had a circle. And we just kept, you know, hundreds of signs that we did.
The primary hasn't happened yet. Nothing has been decided. The final push is underway to win the people of New Hampshire over.
Some reporters would ask me in the run-up to the presidential primary, whose hide were Ron Paul votes coming out of, and my usual answer was, you know, no, Ron Paul's people are Ron Paul people.
I guess I did some sales on a highway once when it was shut down, but I've never done anything like this in a snowstorm. Ron Paul, he's trying to save the country, believes in this, what's it called, Constitution? That's what they call it, yeah. A lot of politicians aren't sure what that is, but...
Most successful, all successful campaigns in New Hampshire, especially in the presidential primary, have grassroots support. There are campaigns that try and do what I'd call Potemkin Village campaigns. It looks like there's grassroots support, but you look underneath it and it's all AstroTurf. There's nothing, there are no roots. Those ones get exposed and fail every time.
Please welcome Ron Paul.
Now, I got to ask you, this seemed really unfair to me. You were excluded from the debate last night, and I'm trying to figure out why Fox News chose not to put you on.
One of the 5 men sitting at this table tonight will be the Republican presidential nominee.
It seems like you should be kicking somebody's ass right now.
You know, in 1964, my father was not even showing in the polls, but he went on to win the Republican primary. It's too early for you to decide on who's going to be the nominee, and you should allow all the voice to be heard, especially early in these races.
We don't let the media or anyone else pick who's a real legitimate candidate and a serious top-tier candidate and who is not. The voters make those decisions. And so we withdrew our sponsorship.
A lot of people put a ton into the campaign, and when they could see someone else just wipe out so much of the work because of their position in the media, they didn't like that. They didn't appreciate it.
The truth of the matter is we do enjoy the circus, and the fact that it was a very competitive primary on both sides of the ballot only made it a better show.
But everyone had a lot of hope. I know I had a lot of hope that he was really going to break through and come in first or second.
Your generation, the young people